Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into something pretty dramatic, actually, a major turn in global energy politics.
Yeah, it's sent some real shockwaves through Washington. We're hearing former President Donald Trump is, well, the sources say, visibly enraged. It looks like Canada's just unveiled this bold new energy strategy, and it seems to have completely flipped the power narrative between the U.S. and Canada.
It really has. It's redrawing lines we thought were pretty fixed.
And right at the heart of it all is Carney, former Bank of England governor. He's apparently a key figure now, shaping Canada's, its long-term energy and financial strategy.
That's right.
And this whole thing, it's being called the Carney Doctrine. It feels like it almost came out of nowhere, catching a lot of people, powerful people, completely off guard.
Well, what's fascinating here, I think, is just how quickly and strategically Canada has moved on this.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about someone like Trump, his whole brand was built around America first, particularly in energy dominance.
Actually, so this timing. It couldn't be more challenging for that perspective. And our source is making it clear this isn't just about barrels of oil or cubic feet of gas. It's deeper. It's fundamentally about shifting power dynamics, real global influence, and using new levers to do it.
Right. So here's what we want to do for you in this deep dive. We're going to unpack this Carney Doctrine.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to understand how Canada managed to sort of quietly position itself as this emerging clean energy superpower, and then explore what that means, the implications for global energy routes, international clout, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as your shortcut, your way to get up to speed on a really complex, high-stakes geopolitical game that's just taken a very surprising turn. Okay, so let's get into this pivot, this Carney Doctrine. It sounds like more than just a policy document, right?
Oh, definitely. It's being framed as a blueprint.
A blueprint for what exactly? Our sources talk about leveraging Canada's resources.
Right. It's vast natural resources. But here's the key difference. It's not just the traditional oil and gas. Critically, it's about rare earth minerals and clean energy potential. Hydropower, wind, you name it.
And using those to create new supply chains, independent ones.
Exactly. New global supply chains designed specifically to, bypass traditional geopolitical choke points. Think routes that don't rely on the usual players or pathways.
Our sources mention a multi-nation partnership focused on renewables.
Yes, exporting renewable energy and also, crucially, building new high-efficiency pipeline infrastructure.
Infrastructure that completely sidesteps the conventional U.S. trade routes we're used to seeing.
Precisely. And it's not just about building new routes for the sake of it. The Carney Doctrine, as our sources seem to be defining it, it's Canada's strategic move.
A pivot.
From oil exporter to
a clean energy superpower, using those huge renewable resources, the critical minerals, to build new global energy alliances that cleverly navigate around established U.S. influence.
You mentioned rare earths.
Yeah.
That feels really significant. It is. And when we talk about rare earth independence, Canada isn't just aiming to dig them up. It's about controlling the entire processing chain.
The value add.
Exactly. That gives Canada enormous leverage over components vital for, everything.
Yep.
Electric vehicles, defense tech, electronics.
So it becomes a strategic choke point in the kind of 21st century economy.
You could absolutely see it that way.
And these deals Canada is striking. They're not just with the usual suspects in Europe and Asia.
No, what's interesting is the reach. They're also bringing in several Latin American nations.
And these aren't just, quick trade deals, buy this, sell that.
Doesn't seem like it. They represent something more fundamental, a shift in energy security for these partners.
How so?
Well, for Europe, it's partly about reducing reliance on, let's say, volatile fossil fuel markets, getting cleaner, more stable energy.
Okay, and for Asia?
Securing stable access to those critical minerals we talked about, vital for their tech industries. That's a huge strategic plus for them.
Makes sense. And Latin America.
It offers them a pathway to sustainable energy development, potentially without the traditional geopolitical strings attached that sometimes come with deals involving major powers.
So this broad reach, it really shows how Canada's pivot has kind of outflanked U.S. influence in some key energy corridors.
It certainly looks that way from the outside. And you can imagine the reaction back in Washington.
Yeah, our sources mention Trump's reaction, Truth Social.
Oh, yes. Predictably fiery, blasting it as a, quote, direct attack on American energy, calling Carney a puppet of globalists. You know the rhetoric.
Right, and his supporters might see his previous tariff threats as defending U.S. jobs, but this Canadian move?
Yeah.
It challenges that directly, doesn't
It
it?
does. It bypasses the tariffs almost entirely by creating alternative structures.
Yeah.
And the reality, according to these sources, is maybe a bit more sobering for U.S. policymakers. Canada just quietly but very decisively moved to secure its place in the green energy transition.
While also winning praise internationally for climate goals.
Exactly. They managed to expand their economic reach while looking like the good guys on climate. It seems Washington insiders were just caught flat-footed.
They didn't see Canada moving so fast or so, well, boldly.
Apparently not.
And this isn't happening in a vacuum either, is it? There were other recent developments.
That's a good point. Just days before this Carney doctrine really hit the headlines, Canada apparently sealed a massive, $12 billion energy tech deal with South Korea.
Leaving U.S. companies completely out.
Completely out of the loop, according to the reports. It adds to this picture of Carney's influence.
Both inside Canada and in global finance circles.
Yeah, being seen as a direct counter, or at least a very different approach to the more confrontational, tariff-heavy policies we've seen from the U.S. recently.
So stepping back a bit, does this incident maybe show us why some countries might be looking for alternatives to dealing primarily with the U.S.?
I think it does reveal a larger trend. Trump's earlier tariff threats remember steel, aluminum, even Canadian lumber. Our sources suggest those very actions are now being cited as reasons why countries started actively seeking alternative trade and energy partners, creating diversification.
And Canada just saw an opening.
It looks like they seized the moment to really differentiate themselves. They stepped into what felt like a vacuum.
How did they fill it?
With, strategic diplomacy, for one, emphasizing long-term climate goals, multilateral agreements, plus competitive pricing and sustained green energy investment, things that align with where much of the world wants to go.
So instead of demanding things up front,
they offered stable, secure partnerships, a different model.
It's quite the contrast, isn't it? Trump, the self-proclaimed dealmaker, being potentially outmaneuvered by a Canadian economist known for being, pretty calm and globally minded.
The optics are certainly interesting, and Carney, he hasn't really responded directly to Trump's attacks, has he?
Not publicly, no. His actions seem to be doing the talking.
And world leaders appear to be listening. You can feel the tension on Capitol Hill, according to reports.
Senators, even from energy states, questioning if the U.S. has lost its diplomatic edge in energy.
Yes, and even some American oil executives are apparently starting to admit, maybe quietly, that they were slow to adapt.
While Canada is pushing ahead in areas like green hydrogen. What's that about exactly?
Right. Green hydrogen, basically using Canada's massive hydropower resources to create clean hydrogen fuel. It's aimed at decarbonizing heavy industry globally. Big potential market.
And lithium processing, beyond just mining it.
Yeah, again, capturing more of the value chain.
Yeah.
Controlling the processing of lithium, which is crucial for EV batteries. That's a key strategic advantage if they can pull it off.
And they're setting up grid sharing partnerships too. Transcontinental ones.
Exactly. Advanced infrastructure to export surplus clean energy, hydro, wind across borders, boosting energy security and helping decarbonization efforts for their partners.
Wow, okay. And how is this playing out domestically in Canada?
That's another fascinating angle. Public support for Carney's plan seems really strong. Polls are showing a significant jump, 18 points, in national pride related to their leadership in this energy transition.
Which, for someone like Trump, must be a clear signal that influence, particularly global economic influence, might be shifting, and shifting fast.
It seems that way. Ultimately, as our sources are framing it, this whole episode isn't just about energy deals or political sparring. It's about the evolving nature of power in the 21st century, where maybe strategic foresight and cooperation are starting to outperform bravado and tariffs.
So let's try to wrap this up. What does this deep dive really show us? I mean, it feels like these strategic, cooperative moves by Canada, they really do seem to be outpacing the old playbook of just, threats and tariffs. It definitely leaves you, the listener, to think about what happens next for the U.S. as this new energy map takes shape.
Yeah, from that broader view, this whole situation highlights a pretty significant shift, potentially a paradigm shift, in the global economic and political landscape. Canada has, quite effectively, it seems, stepped into a space left open, maybe by others, using smart diplomacy, competitive pricing, long-term green investment.
A new playbook.
A new playbook for influence, not based on traditional might, but on adaptability, foresight, aligning with global trends.
Which raises a really important final thought for you to consider, something to mull over long after this news cycle moves on. Looking ahead, how might this specific Canadian energy strategy reshape not just the energy markets we know, but the whole concept of national power, of influence, especially in a world that's increasingly interconnected, but also, crucially, increasingly focused on environmental issues? How might nations gain or lose their standing based not just on their military or old economic models, but on their ability to adapt, their strategic foresight in this rapidly changing global energy game? Something to think about.
Yes, thanks for watching. Stay updated with Global Scope 360. Thank you so much. Subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon.